All right, so I'll go at the bottom. Why did it kind of reversed weirdly? I don't know what that did to it. But okay, so we're looking at one of the many sequences of the MRI study that you had done. This is the T1 with contrast, okay? So somehow I started from the bottom, but okay, in either case, this is the top of your brain, okay? As I advance, you see something that is taking up space in the right side of your brain, in the right hemisphere. It's homogeneous and it's a large size. But the good thing is that one, that it's large, but we don't see a lot of edema around it, which makes us know that you likely had this from birth or like a little bit after that, that this has been slowly growing with you. That's why the brain has not had any like inflammatory response to it. This is likely what we call a meningioma. It's a benign tumor that like is so slow growing that the brain just kind of accommodates for it. At times people might have symptoms like headache or unfortunately seizure because of the location where they tend to grow. They are meningiomas because they come from the meninges, which is the protective tissue that surrounds the brain. And so they're closely associated with the cerebral cortex, which is where someone can have seizures. So if as they're slowly growing, the space that they're in becomes a bit tight, then it starts to irritate the cerebral cortex. They can have the seizures or a headache. A good thing, as I said, it is a benign tumor, but it can be a little bit annoying when it starts to press on, vital structures. So yours, as I advance down, it's a good size, but then here, it's closely associated with the optic nerve, which is, So I would say that this tumor is one that we would not only have neurosurgery involved, we would have ophthalmology involved. It would require a conference and approach, specialized imaging that would be done because we don't want to affect any of these important structures nearby. And then, also when someone's taking out if the brain is used to that large space, it's like you can't just like, okay, in one day, let me just take out all of this. So it's like there might be a multi-step approach to like decreasing the size of the tumor. So I did share the image, well, not directly. I left a message for our neurosurgeon, Dr. Fawcett, to take a look at the images. I'm not quite sure if he has been chance to look at it, but because it would likely require like multiple teams, I'm not even sure the expertise of our ophthalmology team in terms of their involvement with that. So I would think that, this is something that we need to see if like any of, if we have colleagues at maybe Johns Hopkins or Georgetown that they're familiar with this type of case and, they know exactly how they're going to approach it. As I mentioned to you earlier, I had another patient who was the same exact age range as yourself, and she had hers very large, and it was closely associated with her eyes. I did refer her out to another team. They were ready to take her at with the was it the GW team? But she didn't go right away. She actually came incidentally. She was having a really bad headache. Got to the ER, and then we see what was going on. So we wanted to refer her out from here, but I'm not sure. She just decided she'll do it on an outpatient basis. So, you can do the same. Make a decision, review this with your family. We can, in the meantime, look at teams in the area that, will take your insurance. That's another thing that kind of plays into, in terms of referrals. But then some teams, they're eager because, this is an opportunity for them to help and do something.
So this is a brain tumor.
Yes, it is a brain tumor.
This is cancer.
Well, I wouldn't say it like it is a primary brain tumor. but it is a benign tumor. That's what
Okay.
I want to say.
No, I
with that.
understand that.
Yeah, so like when people say that term,
Yeah, I understand. A whole bunch of stuff flashes in your head.
yeah, exactly. So there are, like, in terms of the therapy though that you might need, yeah, there might be a need for more than just resection. There might be like maybe indications for, I don't know, maybe a benefit from radiation therapy and
Right.
stuff like that. But in terms of like chemotherapy, like medications, I don't believe that that would be indicated. It's
Okay.
more so debulking this, but the
Right.
thing is that the problem is that it's around very sensitive structures.
Right. And this is going to require brain surgery.
Yeah.
Okay.
That in addition to possibly some other, maybe some of my colleagues in other institutions, they might have more fine-tuned ways to debulk the mass. Yeah.
How soon should we consider, or is that
Doing
left?
that?
Yeah.
So as I said, this was likely growing with you since you were born, but the thing is you're having symptoms now as associated with it. So ideally you would have this, as soon as you can identify a team and they have a method that like falls in line with something that you're fine with doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would go from there. Yeah.
What other areas could this affect?
What do you mean?
Like memory.
Yeah. So so you probably, this is the front part of your brain, which does a majority of the processes for like your executive functioning, your memory, but there's other parts of your brain that are somewhat related to those functions. And so that's why you might have some issues with it. Now the fact that your brain kind of accommodated for it, that's why you're functioning as
Right.
you are. If someone had another type of tumor at that size, they would not be like, how as high functioning, because this, your brain kind of accommodated for this space occupying lesion,
Right.
over a long period of time. But it's just that now the way that it fit. It's, imagine like a cat fitting itself into a space. It was able to get into that space, but now it's like, okay, it's
Needs
caught
more
somewhere.
room.
Yeah. So this is affecting structures that are kind of with your eye, and then the temporal lobe has to do with behavior and stuff like that. So attention can be a bit slowed or affected with that with this lesion where it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So
I mean, I
Are
don't want
you-
you to think also that I'm taking this lightly. It's just it is it is a serious condition,
sure.
and surgery is not a innocuous procedure or therapy. That is also, it requires a lot of planning and making sure that everything goes well. It's just that I also I want to allay any kind of concerns in terms of like what if down the line, what this could be, if does it implicate anything other than this is a tumor that occurred there.
Okay.
These type of tumors can reoccur, but it's kind of rare for them to reoccur.
If
It's rare for them to reoccur.
when I get it removed, am I going to be a different person, like behaviorally or socially, or just?
So whenever anybody has any kind of, like, a surgery in and of itself would be trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone has a surgery to that area, that is a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that I'm going to speak into, because I'm very spiritual, and I'm going to speak into that not be the case, that we get a good team that knows what they're doing, and that everything goes well, and that you come out being happy with the results.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you're going to be the head of this right now for me?
In terms of figuring out what team
The-
would be.
yeah.
Yeah, I have to help with, but I feel like this is an all hands on deck situation.
Sure.
So, as I mentioned, the teams that I would be reaching out to would be Georgetown, GW, and
John Hopkins.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, sure to be a lot of questions. So, when will I hear from you as far as what the next step is?
It well, one, as I told you, I did reach out to my colleague in neurosurgery here at Howard, so he'll be like my first insight to other teams that he might know because they're more closely related in terms of being colleagues. But interesting. Oh, okay. So actually, I can start off by referring you to him. Mm-mm.